Well, dropping now on Netflix was the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. And yeah, this movie has had a bit of a hard time actually getting released. So it was originally going to be released in cinemas, but obviously, we had COVID, and in the UK, at least in England, we're having another lockdown. So yeah, but the original plans was to push the movie back for 2021 release. However, it did receive a limited release in places like Canada in cinemas, and then it went. I think it got released on Netflix or something in Germany or somewhere. I can't remember where it was. Possibly France, but anyway, now it's on Netflix properly, at least here in the UK. The US, I'm not sure. I'm assuming it probably is. But yeah, now you can finally watch it, and yeah, there's some things to say about this. Now, I've seen a few people's reviews calling it, saying it's one of the worst movies ever. It's just like, no, I wouldn't call it the worst movie ever. It's far from that. I wouldn't call it particularly a bad movie. The problem is with this film is that it is basically just copying a lot of things that have already been done, and even acknowledging it, which is a bit weird. So the plot of this movie is basically the plot of the first film, except mixing it with the Where's Gary sort of scenario. So basically in this film, Plankton, rather than stealing Neptune's crown, he steals Gary and then basically gives him to a different, king of the sea called Poseidon. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird how it takes a lot of elements, and it just takes a lot of things from different SpongeBob iterations. In fact, for some reason they bring back the paddy wagon in this one, so they acknowledge that the first film did happen. But then there's things that kind of really mess with the SpongeBob continuity, and the thing is, this film, I thought it was going to be more of a celebration of SpongeBob's, 20th anniversary, because that's what it was supposed to be, initially. However, this is basically just a backdoor pilot, kind of, for the SpongeBob spin-off that's going to happen soon, SpongeBob Camp Coral, which is coming out sometime next year, I believe. And that's basically what this is. This is essentially just a advertising thing for Camp Coral. That's essentially what it is. As a film itself, I mean, to be honest, you can pretty much predict where each and every plot line is just going to go. So there's not really much to say at that front. In terms of Camp Coral, this is a bit interesting. So all of the voice actors like Tom Kenny, Clancy Brown, and others return from the SpongeBob TV series, which they've done in every other single film. Yeah, did you hear that, Scoob? You can do, a animated film based on a TV series and still have the same voice actors. You don't have to hire celebrities. But here's the weird thing. I don't know why they decided to do this, but in the Camp Coral flashbacks that they do, for some weird reason they decide to get child voice actors who sound absolutely nothing like their adult counterparts. And you might think, oh, well, this is because they're going to be, the voice actors for the TV spin-off SpongeBob Camp Coral. No, the same actors who are currently voicing the characters now are going to be voicing them in the Camp Coral spin-off, so I don't know why they've done this. It's really, really baffling. But also, it kind of just messes with things as well. For example, seeing that this is how Sandy and SpongeBob first met at Camp Coral, though, yeah, there's an entire episode dedicated to that. And I know the argument is, oh, well, kids haven't seen that. I kind of call bullshit on that. Because, if a kid is a SpongeBob fan, then they will most likely have seen every episode, or most of them. they are very widely available. So saying that, oh yeah, kids just don't know about that, nah. I sincerely doubt stuff like that. I mean, when I was a kid and a fan of SpongeBob, I became a fan after the first film. The first SpongeBob movie was the first piece of SpongeBob I ever saw, and you know what I did? I went back and I bought every single SpongeBob DVD that was available to catch up with the series. So basically, I don't think all 3 seasons were available on DVD yet, but basically every single SpongeBob DVD I would get as it came out. So using that as an excuse, not really very valid. The animation in this film is really good. I do like it kind of tries to mimic the sort of stop motion style with the felt style that they did with the Christmas special and Halloween special that they did with the stop motion. I do like that. The animation is probably the best thing about this film. It is a really nice looking film, and the animation is pretty good. Although saying that, there are a few moments where the lip syncing is slightly off. It just seems slightly, but overall it is a really nicely animated and colourful film. To be honest, this is kind of a meh film, and it does get a bit boring in parts where it just feels like it's plodding the plot along. The first hour of this film really kind of drags itself quite thinly. This feels like more of a 45-minute special that they sometimes do, rather than a feature-length film. I mean, this, I think, might be the longest SpongeBob film. It's an hour and 35 minutes. Now, the final half hour is actually quite enjoyable, the final half hour of it. Even though it does lean on to heavily basically advertising the Camp Coral spin-off, the last half hour of the film, at least, is a lot more enjoyable. The songs in this film are fairly decent, actually. There's a one where they managed to get Snoop Dogg in to do a cameo and just do a song, which is really weird. It's got not much to do with the plot whatsoever. Yeah, there's a lot of things in this where they just randomly go to places just to either have a celebrity in there or just to kind of stretch this plot along, which is pretty thin. I think overall I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this more despite, the continuity errors it forsakes and even the stolen plots from different SpongeBob pieces of media, if it was, more of a TV special rather than a feature film, because it just doesn't feel like it has enough to justify that length, because it literally does repeat quite a few things. It repeats things from Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. In fact, it literally does copy stuff like that. So, to be honest, it's just kind of a bit all over the place, where it's basically borrowing things from a bunch of different SpongeBob things that have already happened, and is mainly just a backdoor for a spin-off to happen. Overall, it's not the worst film I've ever seen, not even the worst SpongeBob thing I've ever seen. But if you don't watch this, then you're not really missing out. But if you do decide to watch it, you could do a lot worse, and to be honest, you can just kind of switch off with this one. It's not a great film, but I wouldn't call it the worst thing ever either. It's just kind of it sits there. Like, if the continuity is a real irritant, then yeah, this movie's gonna annoy you. But if you're not as bothered about that, then sure, you could watch it for an hour and a half. I'm sure kids who haven't seen, other SpongeBob, the first SpongeBob movie, and, other episodes of SpongeBob will probably get a kick out of this, but if they have, yeah, there's not really anything new there that really add to it. So, overall, that's my thoughts on this film. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.